live feeds into the digital social media realm. Today, again, I want to touch up on new developments in AI, as I've been following all of January and predicting that this is going to be the year of AI. And yeah, things are still heating up. We have the OpenAI GPT that everybody's been so excited about, and it's been such an excitement that actually it's going offline here and there because despite it's running on a large cloud of Azure by Microsoft, it's up to capacity. So it's hard to get in sometimes. Sometimes you're going to see, oh, the server is busy and it can't get you any more information. To start off on that, Microsoft is now in the talks to be part of the company or take over the company. And the estimate of expenses is $100,000 a day. That's how much it costs. The way it breaks down, for just interesting with some numbers, here it is $3 an hour for a single A100 GPU, and each word generated on ChatGPT costs 0.000, it's 3 zeros after decimal and 3. So it's 3/10,000ths of a dollar, or 3, yeah. At least 8 GPU are in use to operate on a single ChatGPT. So when ChatGPT generates an average response of 30 words, it costs nearly 1 cent. The OpenAI has to pay 1 cent to generate that amount. Through such an estimation, OpenAI could be spending at least $100,000 per day or $3 million a monthly to run. So it's no wonder that now they're trying to monetize it. I mean, the campaign has been great. I mean, there's a lot of positives about it. People are excited. I think some of that may be overly excited, but over anxious and overexcited, and I'll get back to that idea later. But anyway, so it's running now. It's got great marketing. It's got millions of followers, and now they're actually started. I think it was last week. They finally launched their application for the ChatGPT professional version. So it's on. So if you want to sign up and be the first one to get in on that one, it's there's a list. It's open. You can file the app and just be on a wait list. So that's from the world of money and finances of AI. And the next one, and that's why I said where it's going to be heating up. The next article talks about Google's DeepMind says it'll launch a more grown-up GPT or ChatGPT arrival soon. I mentioned it's going to be a big battle between the two or three biggest players in the tech world. So it's Google, Microsoft, and probably Apple. Who knows? But they might be coming up with something as well. I haven't looked up on that, how much they're trying to integrate this, but this idea into their Apple systems. But the Google's DeepMind has been developing. Google subsidiary DeepMind has been developing a system called Sparrow, and it's been tested, and it's in private beta testing, and sometimes in 2023 they're promising to launch it. What it basically does, they're trying to, of course, because now they kind of lost a step with OpenAI, so they're trying to get in and get more advanced. So they're trying to sort of get ahead. Once they launch it, they want to be better. Whereas OpenAI's ChatGPT is being criticized for providing some information they didn't have to. There's an example in this article. I could post a link, or if you're interested, just text me or send me a message here on LinkedIn or wherever, and or email me at info@ncwebdev.com, and I can send you some of the links that I've been following on and that I've been provided by my Android assistant suggestions. But what it says is basically the true abilities will become clear when the public beta is launched later this year. We'll certainly be grabbing the popcorn for the first AI chatbot debate between Google affiliate Sparrow and the increasingly Microsoft-loving ChatGPT. That's how the article ends. What that comes down to is that we can have actually a first debate between two AIs, and that's going to be an interesting one. But the limits that that DeepMind is trying to put on it is like, there's an example screenshot is, hey Sparrow, can you teach me how to hotwire a car? Where Sparrow says, well, I was trained not to give any advice that could lead to breaking the law. I can't teach you how to hotwire a car. Would you like to know about anything else? So that's sort of a safeguard. You don't want to give people easy access to creating things that could potentially cause harm to others. Makes sense and raises a lot of questions. So we're still going to have to be following this and growing up with this kind of tech. Of other news in the world of AI is the morning after, Getty Images sues AI art generator. This is not directly, has nothing to do with ChatGPT, but it has to do, Getty Images announced it's suing Stability AI, makers of the AI art tool Stable Diffusion, over alleged copyright violations. To make a long story short, is these text-to-image generators, they're being taught on, they're learning on publicly available images. So now anybody that, like for example, when either Shutterstock or Getty Images has they offer their databases, and you could purchase some of the images. Some of the images are free. There's a limit. There's different kinds of levels of premiums you pay or monthly fees. And then you have access to a certain number of images. You could download them and you could learn it. But they're available generally to the public with watermarks. And the way this came about is Getty Images noticed, like everybody else, if you look at that, is that the images generated, and this is how the article ends, this is why the lawsuit is coming up, is an independent study last August concluded that a notable portion of Stable Diffusion's data was likely pulled directly from Getty Images' site. The art tool has a tendency to recreate the Getty watermark. So basically when they're offering the images, part of that is the watermark, but the AI not being intelligent, only doing whatever the author, the programmer gave it to do. So it analyzes the image and says, yeah, this is what, I don't know, a car looks like. But, you know, a car, if it doesn't, in real life, doesn't look like something that has even the remnants of a Getty image watermark. So, yeah, it's kind of like, and what Matt Smith said is, I think that's what they call evidence. If you have remnants of watermarks in generated images, yeah, it definitely looks like it could have been stolen. So there's going to be another one that's going to be interesting to follow. Back to ChatGPT, Ukraine wants access to ChatGPT. Ukraine, for obvious reasons, has been, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine, and ChatGPT is an experiment. It's nothing to be relied upon 100%. And so ChatGPT is not available currently in Ukraine, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Belarus, Venezuela, and Iran. There's ways to get around it through different VPNs and you know, IP tunneling, etc., but you want to be careful about providing access to something you don't even know what it can do, and has access to a lot more things that we can probably imagine. You don't want it to fall into the wrong hands, and you don't want it to be misused for any kind of misinformation. So if there's a lot of trouble in the region, more than, you know, it's better to keep it away from there for now, because again, it's only in experimental stages. And this is something that I have another article that was here directly citing this, is as OpenAI CEO Sam Altman described the chatbot as incredibly limited. This is back in even December. It says the chatbot is incredibly limited, but good enough at some things to create a misleading impression of greatness. Describing it as a preview of progress with a lot of work to do on the robustness and truthfulness. Well, and that brings me to my sort of a last point is there's a lot of schools now that are catching people trying to cheat with using ChatGPT, like I said, is to do their work. I've tested it. I don't like some of the text that it generates because it's very repetitive. I said that even last time. You know, it's not that impressive. I mean, it's good. It's got a lot of information. I think the technology is, the tech is high. It's a high tech thing, and it's something we're going to be using in the future. I don't think it's a standalone tool that can just subsidize people's work or education. And so schools are now trying to ban it by blocking the IP addresses. I mean, New York Post had an article about that, and New York Times, I believe, came up with a study how they, in universities and public schools just want kids to learn, so they block ChatGPT. In my opinion, it's better to educate the kids on why it's an unreliable source of information. And I did my own experiment about one topic, and I asked it a question, and I said, what do you think the stance blah 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 is on this? And the ChatGPT says, well, it could be perceived two ways, and it says A, which supported my view, B, it also supported my view, but ChatGPT said, C, because of take a look here, because of the B thing that I mentioned, which also supports your view, which also supported my view, it said, it means that it's not really clear. And I said, how is that not clear if you gave me two arguments for me, for what I'm saying, and you came to the wrong conclusion? And so it says, well, okay, you're right, but still I'm right, and still this is an opinion, this is, so it was quite an interesting discussion, and I did a lot of testing. I went in depth. There's about 10 pages of text that I was trying to convince about wording and definition of words, and I was like, this is what you're saying is this, and then you're giving the words a completely different meaning, and every time ChatGPT starts, yes, you're right, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, but I'm still right. I'm like, well, if you're admitting that you're right and I'm right and that you were wrong, then how do you still support your standpoint? So that just shows it's an unreliable tool 100%. It's great to start something. It's great to give you ideas, show you the ways to go, but it's not a supplement for critical thinking and for finding all the facts. And, it's always important to get your information from multiple sources. Anyway, for anybody that's interesting, again, drop me a note. I can email you that conversation. I don't want to make it public, but I can provide it to anybody who asks. So it's an interesting read, and it was an interesting train of thought that we followed, me and the GPT. So I'm looking forward to picking another topic next time and see where I take it with it. But so far, ChatGPT, I've caught it lying, let's put it that way, or misleading. So, and again, ChatGPT 4.0 comes out in February. That's going to be an upgrade, and I'm excited to look forward to it, testing it, and finding flaws. Because if there's something wrong with it, I'll find it, and yeah, hopefully we can all work on fixing it and making it a more reliable and better, publicly and used tool to serve society, to improve all of us. So yeah, I love high tech. I've been in programming since I was 13 with my Atari 800 XL. So yeah, that's how long I've been in programming. So I like testing programs and new developments and stuff. It's just my hobby, a lifelong hobby. So yeah, great. Thank you for listening. And yeah, if you want any of the information that I talked about, I can provide that. Either drop me an email here, or leave a note, comment, or message me wherever, or reach out to info@ncwebdev.com. And don't forget, tonight is the NC WebDev webinar at 10 p.m. So if you didn't sign up for that, go to the LinkedIn NC WebDev business page and sign up, and I'll see you there. Have a great day. Bye-bye.